Aye. Aye. Do you guys remember that commercial? Aye. Who was that for? Kia? I don't remember. I don't remember. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games and board gamey things. I am back again today to do another preview video. And today's preview is on Crafting the Cosmos from Office Dog Games, who very kindly sponsored today's video. Now, a few things to note. Number one, this game is coming directly to retail. So this is not a Kickstarter, it's not doing crowdfunding, so directly to retail. So everything that you do see currently is not a prototype. This is all final stuff. The other thing I want to mention, if you do have early access or alpha and beta access, I should say, into Board Game Arena, you can actually test this game out there if you would enjoy doing that. You can do that. So, as per usual with my preview videos, I'm going to give you an overview of how the game works to help you figure out whether or not this game is a good fit for you. So it's not an official how to play video. I also wanted to mention that tomorrow there's going to be a playthrough releasing for Jeff and I if you would like to watch us play the game at a 2-player count. But I think that's everything I wanted to mention to start, so without further ado, let's dive into space. Oops. Okay, everybody, let's talk about crafting the cosmos. Now, crafting the cosmos, which you can see right here, here's the board. I am technically set up for a 2-player game, but I only have 1-player board just for space's sake. We all know about space's sake. We're building stuff in space, so that's also for space's sake. Lots of space stuff happening. Crafting the Cosmos is played over a series of rounds, and each round consists of player turns and then an end of round phase. So one player is going to go, they are going to move through the energy phase and then the crafting phase. Then the next player is going to go, they're going to do the energy phase, then the crafting phase, so on and so forth. The game does play 2 to 4 players. Once everybody has done their energy phase and their crafting phase, we are then going to go into an end of round phase. The end of the game is going to be triggered in 2 different ways. So one of these 2 ways. Either all of these time tokens are removed from here and placed out onto a player board, and we'll explain how that happens. But in a 2-player game, there's 6 of these. That number increases for more players. So if all of these are gone, then the game will end. The other way is if the last goal card has reached the bottom of this track. We're going to score it in the end of round phase, and then after that, the game will end. So I'll explain more about those things. Don't even worry about it, sweetheart. All right? So let's talk about the player turns, starting with the energy phase. So during the energy phase, you are essentially going to be moving energy around the board and collecting resources to use in your crafting phase. We have a tray here that has, this is where you're working in for the energy phase. So basically what you're going to be doing, you are going to be moving energy around this tray. On your turn, you can only move your own energy or the dark energy, which are the black marbles, all right? So in this example, just so you know, I am the pink player. Obviously, even though I'm wearing blue, I guess I could have been the blue player. So you can move up to 3 times. You don't have to move 3 times yet. You can move up to 3, but at least one of those movements needs to be with your own energy marble, all right? We are going to be moving clockwise. This would be 1 movement. This would be 2 movements. This would be 3 movements if I wanted to move only my marble. I could do 1, 2, 3. You can move 1, 2, whatever you like to do. if one of the quadrants is totally full, if I want to move my marble, this would actually be 1, okay? So that's what you're gonna do, and let's just say this is the final situation from the movement. Next, you are actually going to gather your resources. So we've moved our marbles, and you are moving based on the different quadrants that you are going to be collecting resources from, essentially. So the first thing that we're gonna do when we gather is we're gonna look at where our marble is, our energy token, and we are going to take whatever is on the left-hand side of that section. So in this instance, it's saying I can collect 2 helium. So there are 4 different kinds of stars in the tray. We have helium, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. When you collect the stars, you're just going to place them face up, color side up next to your board. The supernova, this is going to mean that you can change one of your stars on your board into a supernova. That is tracked here. The next thing that you're going to do is gather the rest of your resources based on all of the marbles on the right-hand side. So here, I would be gaining 1 gravitron movement. Here, I would be gaining 1 life, 1 DNA. Here, I would be gaining 2 cards. So you're even counting your opponent's marble, but I would be gaining 2 energy cards, okay? And then here, I would be gaining 2 time. So now let's talk about the different resources, starting with where my pink marble is, all right? So first things first, over here, anything that it has a star, it'll say ×2 or not. You're just gonna, like I said before, grab the star from the tray and put it color side up next to your board, all right? Then the supernova is tracked on this little tracker right here, so you just move your cube up. On this side, we have gravitron movement. That is also tracked over here on this little tracker. So you just move your cube up based on how many you have acquired. That's everything in this section. Over here, we have DNA. So these are going to be placed next to your player board, purple side face up. Everything is going to go next to your board. Nothing is being placed in this phase. This symbol here is for the nebulas. We have nebulas down at the bottom. There are 1 pip, 2 pip, and 3 pip. That is essentially just saying that this one is easiest to complete, medium to complete, hardest to complete, and we'll go over that in a minute, all right? But that is, you can collect any, and you're just gonna place it this side up. So not the nebula side, but the other side with all of the ingredients it needs, basically. These are the symbols for the energy cards. You can collect any that are face up or you can collect face down. It doesn't refill, so if I were to take this blue one, I wouldn't automatically refill it. Okay, but you could choose whatever's face up. You could do all face down, any kind of a mixture. Over here we have time, and time is tracked on this track on your player board. So here, if I were to gain 2 time, I would move this up 2. And then the only other thing here is stabilization, which is also tracked on a slider on your board. Those are all of the different kinds of resources you are going to be placing things next to your board. That is gathering resources, and that is the energy phase. Once we're done with the energy phase, we are then going to go into the crafting phase. During this phase, we are going to be placing out and using all of the resources that we have gained. So let's just say this was the situation, all right? So you could do this in any order, but I'm going to tell you what everything does, where it goes, all that good stuff. All right, and I'm just going to put that up to 6 to give you an example. So the first thing that I might want to do is place out my stars. Now I gathered these helium stars. You can place them anywhere on the board. They don't need to be adjacent to other stars. They just need to go in these larger circle areas. So I might want to put 1 here, and I might want to put 1 down here. The reason I might want to do that is because this nebula requires 2 helium to be completed. This one requires 1, and this one requires 1. So now all of the nebulas that I have out have a helium next to them. That's just good management, in my opinion. So that's how the stars go out. I could have placed it, doesn't even need to be a nebula there. You could place them anywhere. With the DNA, you are going to place these purple side down adjacent to any other life that you have out on the board. The purple side is called proto-life, the green side is called stabilized life, and we'll talk about the difference between that, but just know it has to go purple side down adjacent, and these ones are going to go in these little tiny circles. Nebulas can go into any of these open circles. It does not need to be adjacent to another one, although they are all adjacent to your starting ones, because we do start with a 1, a 2, and a 3 nebula out on the board, which is signified right here. So you could place these anywhere, and I might want to place that one there because it's next to the helium. Nice. All right, if I had gained a supernova, you're going to look at the stars that you have on your board, and you are going to take one and you are going to flip it over to its supernova side. This is now considered a wild, so it can count as any type of stars. There might be reasons why you don't want to flip them over into supernovas, which we'll talk about when we talk about movement. All right? Here with the stabilization, for each stabilization that you have, you can flip over a proto-life into a stabilized life. And here for movement, this is how you're going to move your stars around as well as your life. Now, if you have completed a nebula, so I think I already kind of mentioned, but on the nebulas, it'll tell you exactly what they need in order to be complete. Let me do up an example here for you. So, if this is the situation that I had, this nebula would be complete. When you complete a nebula, you are going to remove one star that is surrounding that nebula. Doesn't need to be one that's contributed to completing it. It could be any, so maybe I might want to take this one. Just goes back into the supply, okay? And then you are going to gain the points. Points are tracked on your personal point tracker, and you are going to flip it over, okay? The reason why I wanted to tell you that before I talked about how movement works is because now, currently, these stars that were surrounding it, they might, in this situation, they're all where they should be, but they might not be very helpful, and maybe you want to move them. As an example, this needs an oxygen. So, for each movement that you have, you can either move a star or a proto-life. How you're going to do that is you can move them to an adjacent open space. So I could move that one here, or you can travel through other stars. So this oxygen could travel through these to land over here. Now the reason why you might not want these supernovas is because they can't move. They can be moved through, but we can now never move this. And if these had been completed, it's just kind of stuck there. So that's something to consider with the supernovas. Now to move the life, it's the same thing. You can either move it to an adjacent open space, or you can move it through other life, whether it's purple or green. So I can move that one here if I wanted to, all right? That's how the movement works. You just can't move the supernovas. The next thing that you could do is you can play out different energy cards in order to kind of unlock some new abilities. So in this instance, I have 2 red, I have 2 green. My only option is this section right up here. This is saying discard 2 of the same energy cards, 3 of the same, 3 of the same, 4 of the same, and 5 of the same. Before I talk about these ones, this one's pretty straightforward. If you have 5 of the same, you just discard them and you gain 6 points. This is the victory point symbol, all right? But let's just say I decided to discard 2 of my time energy cards. I'll put them right down here. And then what I get to do is I get to pull from the time cards here as many as I discarded, so it would be 2. I get to look at them and think, which one of these is better? I might want special relativity. I am going to put that next to my board, and this card is going to go to the bottom of that deck. I now have another action that I can take on my turn. This one in particular is get rid of 2 matching cards. So I could do this right away. I could get rid of these 2 red cards in order to increase my time by 2. So because the time is at 6, I'd actually grab another one and put it here. We're going to talk about this next. All right. The other thing that you do when you complete one of these, and you can only put one card per slot, is I'm going to take this little marker and I'm going to place it in the time section right here. Now, every time I gather resources, I can also gather one time. No matter what, even if there's no marbles in here, you always gather one time. And I could have multiple in here, and that would mean if I had 2, I could gather 2 times every gather resource. So it's just a way to get more resources and give yourself more ability. It's a bit of the engine building part of the game. Okay? Now, speaking of time, let's talk about time. Time is always tracked through here. But when your time marker gets up to 6, anytime you gain additional time, you will take a time token from the tray and you will continue going. During the crafting phase, what you can do is take this time and you are going to slide it as far down as it will go. When you slide it, this symbol means you can gain a star of any color. So maybe I want a hydrogen. I now have that. And then you're going to gain the victory points immediately. So that would be 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you could place this out right away if you like. So that's how all of that works. Now there's one more thing that you can do kind of during the crafting phase. And that is you can create advanced life. Whoa, Bessie, I just threw life on the ground. You can create advanced life. So you're probably wondering, what does it matter between the purple and the green for the proto life versus stabilized life? Well, let me just set up a little example here and I will show you. This nebula that has been completed, that's important, is now surrounded by life, both stable life green and proto life purple. That means we have created advanced life, and we are going to take one of these advanced life tokens. There are going to be some of these with the bright yellowish green surrounding them. These are worth more victory points than the regulars, so between 6 and 8, so 6, 7, or 8 points that you could potentially get. When you grab one of these from the top of the stack, you'll look at it. You're not going to gain the points right away. You'll gain them at the end of the game, and you're going to place it face down. Once these ones are depleted, you're going to start taking from the ones that don't have a ring, and they go from value 2, 4, 5, and I think that's it, because these are 6 to 8. Okay, so they're worth a little bit less. They're still going to be worth victory points at the end of the game. When you do that, and the reason why you want your proto-life to be stabilized is because after you do that, any of your proto-life, the purple ones, are going to be gone. So the reason you obviously want them to stay is because now they're contributing to other nebulas. So when you complete them, it'll be easier for you to put advanced life on that nebula, basically. That's everything that you could do during the crafting phase. It is important to know that any resources that you don't use, you will lose, with the exception of energy cards. You can have a maximum of 10 energy cards in your hand. If you have more than 10, you'll have to discard down. And you also carry over time. So at the end of the round, this time token wouldn't go back down to 0. That will stay. Everything else will be gone. So if you had another star that you didn't put out, that would be gone. If you had any of the DNA, that would be gone. Nebulas that aren't placed would be gone. Anything here not used, gone. You get the idea. Then what you're going to do at the end of your turn is you are going to take one final action, and that is signified up here. So you could take this little cube and you can either scroll it all the way over to here, saying that you are going to be turning one of your proto-lives, you're stabilizing it into a stable life. Or if you come down here, you get to gain a nebula and you get to place it out right away. Then the next player is going to go, and so on and so forth until all players go. And then we're going to go into an end of round phase. During the end of round phase, what we are going to do is we are going to be sliding these cards down one space and revealing a new one, placing it out. if it were the end of round phase and we slid a card into that bottom space like this, we are then going to score that card, all right? And how we're going to score it, it's always going to be like who has the most of, who has the largest of, those types of things. In a 2-player game, whoever does have the most of that thing will gain 6 points. If it's a tie, you'll both get 6 points. In a higher than 2-player game, the second place will get 3 points, okay? Then the next round that will slide off and these will continue to get refilled. And you'll remember possibly that one of the end of game triggers is that the final card reaches the bottom of this track. If that happens, we'll score it and then the game is going to end. Like I mentioned before, the other way that it can end is if all of these time trackers have been depleted from the tray, and that will then happen at the end of the round. So players will continue to take their turns. They'll do the end of game or end of round phase, and then they'll go into final scoring. So for final scoring, you are already going to have your tracker is going to be wherever it is. If you move past 50 or 100, we have something that we can tuck right in on our player board like so. The last thing that you're going to score, and the only thing you have left to score at the end of the game, is going to be any advanced life that you have put out. Then whoever has the most points wins the game. That is how the game is played. Now, if you are playing a 2-player game, the first player token is always going to stay with the same person. Otherwise, during that end of round phase, it is going to pass to the next player. So everybody's going to get a chance to go first, basically. The goal cards that you're scoring, there's a ton of different kinds, but just as an example, this says most complete size 1 nebula. So if I had 1 and Jeff had none, then I would get the points for that. Most stars around advanced life, largest group of stars, most proto-life. This is a new symbol, and you may notice there's some symbols on the board. This is saying most life in phi, which is over here. And there's these little white kind of dotted lines that are signifying where the different regions are. I think that's pretty much everything with this game. Now your question might be, who is this game for? Well, this is definitely a bit of an engine builder optimization puzzle style game. You are trying to maximize how many points you are scoring based on the different stuff that you're putting on your board. Specifically, your biggest point scorer is going to be with your nebulas and with your time. There's a bunch of different strategies that you can try. So Jeff and I have played where like I went really heavy with the time because like you can get a lot of points. It's 3 points and the next one is 6 points and 10, 15, and 21 points. Like that's a lot of points. You can try to get a lot of points by filling all of your nebulas and really using your movement to your advantage, because you can just use the same stars in the same turn. You can complete multiple nebula and score points that way. Another great way to score a lot of points is going to be by creating advanced life, because you're going to know how many endgame points you're scoring with these, but your opponents aren't going to know. So it's a little bit of a sneaky kind of like surprise at the end of the game. But it's a lot of resource management and trying to be smart with kind of how you're manipulating the energy board, because, you know, if I'm really working towards time and this is a situation, I'm like, oh, I really need more time. So I might want to put that here so I can get down here, or you might want to try and manipulate this in whatever way. All of the resources are extremely useful for what you're doing. So it is really difficult to be like, oh, what do I need this turn? Because you're not going to be able to get everything that you need. The game itself plays around 60 to 90 minutes, depending on, of course, if you have any analysis paralysis and player count and all that good stuff. There's a bunch of these different cards that are going to give the game a ton of variability. So you can have like a green, a red, they're time, light, chemistry, and gravity, or you can go heavy on the time cards, and they're all manipulating the games in different ways, but you are going to have to get rid of different resources. One thing that I find is really helpful in this game is putting these cards out so you can get these tokens out, so you are always gaining more and more resources. Resources are everything in this game. Definitely big resource management game. If you love space, obviously this could be a great fit for you as well, because it leans very heavily into the space and science, sci-fi kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that's everything. And I think if this sounds like a game that you might be interested in, definitely go and check it out. I'll put some links in the description below on where you can find it. But as always, you can, of course, find this game at your friendly local gaming store. For us, that's the Boardroom Game Cafe. And if you have beta access on Board Game Arena, you can try it out there right now. And if you're in our Discord and you want to play, we have a channel specifically in our Discord for alpha, beta games on BGA. So we can play it with you, or somebody else that has access can play it with you as well. I am already in a game of it on Board Game Arena. So we are playing this game a lot. And stay tuned tomorrow for our playthrough. So Jeff and I are doing a 2-player playthrough. And we also played it during the Gameathon. So if you missed that, you can go back and watch that section of the Gameathon. Whew, I think, my friends, that is everything that I have for you today. So shout out again to Office Dog for sponsoring today's video. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. I hope to see you again soon. And now, I say goodbye. Goodbye. Let's go. Do you want to go to space with me? I love to go to space with you. Let's just say we were here. Oh, that one's already face up. Oh, no. Oopsies. Happy space hunting.